this time you owned up to these letters.
Rose Gooding, who allegedly harassed a pretty young Christian woman.
What's the evidence?
Similarities in the language.
I think you've been set up, Rose. Is there anyone who'd want to do such a thing?
Have you got a pen and paper?
Did you know anything about this story, the fact that it's a real story, before reading the script?
No, I'd never heard of it. And I'm reading the script and just checking. I mean, he had the real photographs on the script, Johnny Sweet's script.
Oh, wow.
So he had a photograph of Edith and Rose and Gladys Moss, the police woman officer. And so reading it going, really? Going back to the photo going, oh my God. And then you sort of Google it, go, yeah.
There's those amazing photographs of them all coming out of court.
Yes.
Remember? Yeah.
Yeah. And Rose just looked amazing.
You look gorgeous as well. A little bit sour.
No, Edith didn't look amazing coming out.
One of the joys for me is when I very first read it, I didn't realise it came from a true story. So I read it and found it hilariously funny, and I was very intrigued to understand where the idea had come from. So from there I discovered it was real, and at that point suddenly the tenderness behind the story and behind the two leading characters and what it is that's led them to behave in the way that they do was also one of the things that attracted me straight away. They're two very complex characters, and they have real, almost sort of tragic, very vulnerable sides to them that comes out in the flip side of it initially in the film. And so those complexities within characters is really, as a director, that's what I'm drawn to. And obviously with Olivia and then Jessie joining the cast, it was a dream script to work on.
I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea.
What was your first reaction to it?
I think everyone, speaking to everyone had the same reaction. We read it, we thought it was very funny and very absurd and very brilliant and wonderful. And then at the end of the script, you have some information about the three women and what happened to them, and you go, oh, hold on a second, this is real. And then we all went on our computers and did a lot of Googling and, finding out what actually happened and how much is real and how much was Johnny's imagination. And surprisingly, there's a lot of facts that are in the story, truth is stranger than fiction.
So there's a lot of swearing in the movie, but your character actually says the most awful stuff without even swearing. How was dealing with this character? How was playing him?
Well, I mean, that's the wonderful thing about that character. This is a man who's so repressed and so buttoned up and so fearful of any expression of kind of, particularly in relation to his daughter, of sex and impropriety and filth, that the wonderful thing about it is a man who, it's almost like steam coming out of a cracking kettle or a pressure cooker. The last thing he wants is anybody to hear these words, and he finds himself spewing them out. So he's trapped. He's actually expressing his own fears as well as his own, he's a victim of his own repression, having to say it. So he's in a terrible dilemma, as are a lot of these people who pride themselves on their propriety. They're actually, they're pooing all over themselves. They can't help it.
Can't remember now, but no, I came across a story, I'm not sure where, and it was the letter. I really remember reading the letters and the unbelievable, ridiculous, absurd way that they played out across that story, and I was just laughing as I read it. So I was chomping at the bit to adapt it.
Yeah, how was working with them? How was building that dynamic between them two?
Very difficult. They're very, very difficult women.
Wretched
I wouldn't
people.
recommend it, really. Yeah. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. They're both... they have two very, very different styles in terms of how... Excuse me one second. They've made me very emotional. No, not true at all. So their process is very different, but they know each other incredibly well, so they trust each other. Which is one thing that makes all the difference on set, is when you have a degree of not only professionalism but trust and security and safety on a set. And with those two leading the cast, immediately everybody just felt so completely at home, which I think particularly with comedy, which the thing about comedy is you always want it to feel effortless. And of course, therefore, it's one of the hardest things to achieve. But to be led again with those two creating that atmosphere on set, it was a joy. And the whole cast were really fantastic, incredibly hardworking, and we all wanted to tell the same story, which with such a kind of complex script is not always evident, but they were brilliant. So it was real teamwork.
So Olivia, you're a producer of this film as well. So why did you wanted to make this movie happen, and also why did you choose Edith as your role?
Well, it's sweet of you to say producer, but actually I did almost nothing on that side of it. That was proper grown-ups and my husband, who worked really hard in making it all come together. And I just went, can we have Jessie, please? It's basically what I did. I loved the role of Edith. I couldn't have played Rose anyway because she was younger. I know, it doesn't look it. And Edith was just fun. I loved the two sides of her, the sort of really pious Christian and then the foul-mouthed, the release at the end for her. So I thought that would be fun to play.
Yeah, and you make it very fun. So.
Thanks.
So, Jessie, your character Rose is like a force of nature. She's hilarious. How was matching that energy all the time?
Oh, so much fun, yeah.
Easy for you.
Yeah, couldn't go to sleep. I just stayed up for weeks. No, she was so full of life and naughtiness and pleasure, and those kind of characters just kind of light your world up. She was just it was just so much fun. Yeah. I've said it's so much fun so much today.
Yeah. Now say it again. You seem to be having so much fun in this movie. So it makes me think, was there improvisation? Were the bits where, you let yourself go and just say things that weren't on the script?
The bit where you ran at me from the postbox, that was you making it up, wasn't it?
I was like, oi!
Yeah, oi, which made you jump every time, made us giggle a lot.
And then I think there was the bit where I flashed my pasty white arse and wasn't in the script, and we'd done a few takes with bloomers on, and I thought, fuck, I'm going to take my knickers off. And I did it once and I was like, oh my God. And then I realised I had to do it like 10 more times. And I was like, oh God, my poor ass is going to like.
And you actually when every single time.
And then when the trailer came out, I was like, oh God.
And now it's the
because you don't know what your bum looks like. And I haven't even seen it on a big. I know, thank you. But the world deserves that.
So of course there's a lot of swearing in this movie. What do you think is so fun to swear? What's so liberating about it?
Because you're not meant to do it.
Yeah, I think because you are told from quite a young age that it's naughty, but it's not hurting anyone unless you're directing it. Actually, that's the whole point of this. It is hurting people, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's only make believe.
Yeah. Oh, hang on, it's real.
It was real.
Yeah. It is a release, isn't it? If you were to stand on the top of a hill and just shout whatever you wanted to shout, you'd feel so much lighter. It's like if you've ever punched a punch bag, you feel great afterwards. It's cathartic. And I think they're useful words. They can express how you feel in a way that other words can't, succinctly and quickly. I love swearing.
Yeah. Everyone should have a good swear.
Yeah.
I almost never swear in real anger. I'm not a very angry person. But just an everyday sort of, fuck it. It's nice.
And Janet, your character is actually a real person.
Yeah.
How is playing this character? Did you do any research on the real person,
Yes.
and what do you want to convey through her?
Yeah, I did research into her story because, what was interesting about her was she was the first woman police officer in Sussex. So, I liked the idea of her sort of walking around, and I said to Thea, a hat that's just slightly too big, because they didn't have a uniform. Probably it was the first, female uniform they put on. So put that on, and that will do. But their job was seen as like pouring tea and being present in case women fainted or got a bit emotional. It wasn't seen as a very serious job. And I think there were some facts about her, but the way Johnny portrayed her in this movie, he gave her this like beautiful arc and a beautiful journey. And, you see someone who's quite buttoned up and serious in the beginning, and then she just really comes into her own and follows her own instinct and intelligence, and, enlists, the community and other people to really like find out the truth. you know, and I think it was just so much fun to play her. And imbue her with a sense of someone who felt like she was from the 1920s, but also very much a woman that we could relate to now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So at the center of this movie, obviously, is Olivia Colman and Jessie Buckley's character going at each other. How was seeing them on set and working with them?
It's just magic when they're together, you know. I think they're friends in real life. I mean, they are friends in real life, and they have a beautiful chemistry that translates, you know, on screen. I mean, I think it's explosive when they come together.
It's great because you see a friendship and then you see it crumbling and then you see them come back to some kind of bizarre reconciliation, even though, you know, what's interesting about, you know, on the face of it, Edith's character, you know, Olivia's character is the most, supposedly has right on her side. So everybody assumes she's okay. And everybody just makes the assumption that because Jessie's, you know, got in relationship and unmarried, that she must be hateful. She must be doing it. I mean, but the whole thing is about, you know, prejudices and received wisdoms about certain facts based on cliche, you know. And this is about a society that is guilty of vast hypocrisy right across the board. And then, is actually, in a sense, the swearing is all the steam of truth coming out of this hypocrisy.
Obviously, the movie is set in 1920s, but what do you find in the story that is applicable to today? Because, I mean, there's so many issues in the movie that could be, you know, applied today: female friendship, sexism, patriarchy, the trolls online. So what do you think viewers can learn from it, from the perspective of today?
I think if you, like, try and kind of contain or project an idea of who people are meant to be on them, you're going to be sadly disappointed because their full self is never going to come out. And if it does come out, it'll be a bit like Spanx, the, like, top layer of fat will, like, burst out. And also, I guess with this is the trolling and the cowardice and the anonymity that happens when people use anonymity to deflect their own pain and actually do affect people and do change people's lives. And in our story, a single mother ended up going to prison. And in the world at large, like, the effect of trolling online has a huge impact on people. And I guess the kind of carelessness or lack of consciousness about how that might actually affect somebody's life should be thought of more. But really, we want people to have a really good time. And not, I guess, morality. I mean, if you try and be too moral, you know, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you just try to be a good, full person, then and have a laugh.
Yes. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. You don't want to be the baddie in the, you know, in any situation. Be nice, be kind. And then, aside from that, go to this film and have a really good laugh, and with a huge box of popcorn.
And a glass of wine.
A glass of wine. Yeah.